Everyone, thanks for coming out to Harbourfront number 10. Woo! Awesome! I like that. Can we do that again? Number 10! Wow, not bad. Good crowd. So thanks for coming out. And first of all, I want to thank the Hive for hosting us again and again and again. And for those of you who don't know what the Hive actually is, it's a co-working space, and they also do have offices. And if you are looking for a place to work out of, for like yourself or for more people, then she is the one to talk to, right?
Not me.
Or Angie, or
Angie.
anyone, but anyone from the Hive. I'm sure there's like also info material here.
Yeah, over there.
But yeah, talk to these guys. They're awesome. And thanks for hosting us for the, I don't know, many times. So then also we have Nikita back there, and he's filming it, and very soon we'll have all the talks filmed and we'll put them up on the website.
Thank you.
And that is very awesome because we didn't have that before. So the website, in case you haven't seen it, is harbour-front.hk. Check that out, and very soon with video. And for next month's meetup, we don't have a date yet, but stay tuned on Twitter or Facebook or LinkedIn or our website, of course.
Meetup.
Oh, Meetup, Eventbrite, I don't know. We're like on every possible channel, I think.
Speakers.
Yeah. So, and this is Cherish, by the way. She never wants to say anything, but we're actually organizing this together. So thanks, Cherish.
Thank you too.
Today we're having two speakers. First up is George Papanikolaou. And he's going to talk about context-aware, no, not context-aware, like, help me out.
I'm going to talk about intention in design.
Right, see, same thing. So I'm very much looking forward to that. And after that, yours truly will do a little subset of what I was speaking about at last week's CodeConf. It's going to be about web performance optimization, a little scratching the surface. So I think we're ready to go, and it's all yours, George. Cool. Thank you.
Thank you.
So, hi everybody, and thank you for coming to this event. I think it's a great event, what the people are doing here and everything, inviting people to talk about design and everything. I think Hong Kong really needs a bit more for this stuff. So thank you again. So my name is George Papanikolaou, as very well pronounced before. So I'm a web developer. I'm doing UX design right now, and I've been in Hong Kong for around 4 years. First of all, I'm half Greek, half German, and I was mostly raised in Greece, a very small village actually. I've been here for around 4 years. I came here firstly to do video productions, as I had my first company in Greece, and one of my clients was in Hong Kong. He liked what I did. He flew me over. This is the first time I saw skyscrapers and everything. I was like, wow, I really like this place. So after that, I'm still here. So I really like this place. And after that, I worked in various positions. I was in the PolyU University. I was doing data visualization for artificial intelligence labs there. And right now I'm working with an amazing company called Uprising Analytics, with a startup in Hong Kong. We just got founded. It's a very rapidly growing team, and it's we're doing social media analytics. It's actually very interesting, and it's a journey of learning things and implementing things, and of course always sharing with other people, so everybody we can progress and get the best out of everything we can do. So, long story short, what I'm going to mostly talk about you today is something I did, and it went viral. And it was one moment where, this is one of these moments you understand that you make something that really works, you know, and it's like all your efforts and all your experience somehow comes together in a single point where you finally make something that it works. And it's like that 20% of the things that work and 80% of things doesn't work, because 80% of the things we are trying to get there. We're trying to get to the holy grail of things where everything is working, everything is amazing, and we are celebrating success. So for me, it was a quite amazing experience to understand the power we all have as developers, and to really get the awareness of that, because we do hold amazing power in our hands, because if you think about it, we're just typing things on a computer, we're typing letters and characters and everything, and we can let the magic happen. We can really design and implement anything we can think of into the world. We can drive our users through our experience we can tell them to do anything we want pretty much. And I have an experience also in video productions and everything, and for me, it was always taking the user through a video and saying whatever I want to say, and that's it. But when I transfer that experience into web design and everything, I understand through the interaction, it can be something much more. So, as I said, I'm half Greek, half German. So, in my last position, my last job, I was in the university, and I was watching the news about Greece last summer, and it was quite interesting because Greece was going through the whole political hailstorm, like the left-wing party was elected and everybody was like, oh, Greece is going to get out of the crisis and everything. The prime minister was everywhere. I was walking down the Hong Kong street and I see the newspaper with Chinese all over with the prime minister photo and everything. I was like, wow, this is big. And I was like really into the mood for some months or something for the whole thing, as the whole thing was going. And I was like, wow, this is a huge potential. Like all these people in Europe, like from many countries, like not only Greece, right? They have this awareness of things going on at the time. What can I do with that? And because I come from the comedy background also, I did a lot of funny videos when I was some years ago when I was younger, and I just had fun doing it, and it was like a hobby. But some of those videos went viral, and the things I learned from that experience is like one of the things that comedy does is taking something you already know and then just stretches out so you can see its nature and understand it, and then you can have a laugh about it. And I just saw the whole thing. I was like, you know, I just felt like I couldn't do something with it, you know. And I just stretched it a bit for, let's say, a personal laughter. So there was one weekend. I was like coding the whole thing, and I decided to take the austerity thing that was going into Europe, which was like, austerity means that we don't have enough money, we need to cut down things. So I just took the whole concept and make it really silly. Like Italy has to cut down 30% of the olive trees or something to give more money to somewhere or whatever in order to win the whole financial crisis. So that was the main concept I take. And then I really remember myself having really a fun doing it, a really joyful time just writing down those messages, making arrays in JavaScript or whatever, and combining those arrays together to get the random austerity. And soon enough, I had a ready website. So the concept is real power, because I just had the server lying around, very cheap, and I had the power to get domain names very cheap. Like $10, you can get whatever .com name you want. So it's very easy to access the world out there and do whatever you want as you want it. So here I was that weekend. I developed this website after developing another generator in the past that didn't go so well, just very personal project. But then I took code from that, I implemented for the new one, and I posted it on my personal Facebook. And when I did that, I also sent 2 emails. One email was in the Greek newspaper or something, and the other one was in the New York Times. Those 2 emails didn't work so much. I think only the Greek one worked. The New York Times did not mention, but I posted on my Facebook. And that's the only marketing I did for it. And then I went out, I came back, I just see people sharing it. And after some point, next day, that feeling I got from the YouTube videos when you wake up in the morning, and that small video you posted with like 3 views suddenly has 10,000 views, and then the next day has 30,000 views. You get comments, replies, stuff like that. Same story now with the Random-Austerity-Measure-Generator. People started to like it, and then people started to share it, and you felt that people had a good time enjoying it. And before I knew it, the whole thing went viral. So this is how.
I think you could plug it in. Take the plug on and put it back.
Okay.
Sure.
Technology. So this is.
Yes.
This is how the website looks like. It's a really simple one. It's just straight to the point. You see the picture. You get a real big button there just to do your action. Generate your own austerity measure generator. That's it. There's nothing more to do that in the website. You go in, there's only one button. That was the point when I did the whole website. I didn't want anything else other than that. You get a loading screen, I will speak more about the loading screen. The loading screen made people think and give the impression that their unique random generated message is really generated through a lot of calculated power. And I will speak more about that. It's very interesting. And after that, you get your amazing Random-Austerity-Measure-Generator thing. So, for example, Tsipras, the Greek prime minister, has to reach a score of this one in Flappy Bird in 15 hours, or else Greece will lose 169% of its value. So that was the type of messages you get here, and pretty simple one. You can see you can have a share and retry button. That's pretty much all. And that thing literally exploded over the world. And 20% less boiling time for all Portuguese eggs. Random austerity generators everywhere. So Twitter exploded. The tags were all over the place. People enjoying, having fun with it. People expressing their, their problems through an app for the first time, and it was like really, really exciting to see that. So I was like watching statistics in the flat as the world was going viral with this, and I got like 645 people at the same time simultaneously on the channel, on the website, Huffington Post, GR, TheGuardian.com, other people who mentioned me, and then it just went up. I was having 1,180 people at the same time on the website, and Europe, Germany, England, all over the world. So really, really amazing experience. This is Greek. This is Italian, I think. This is the statistics, Iris Examiner. And about Iris Examiner, they said, wow, what's a cool website. And I actually wanted to go low on that. I really want my name attached to all this thing because it's political. Some people, I just having hard times. I was there in Europe when I've been through the whole being poor stuff. So I know it's hard. So I didn't want my name attached to that. But this actually media managed to find my name through the domain name. So they said, looks like a guy, George Papanikolaou from Arta, Greece, made this website. I was like, cool. Maybe it's time to just say I did that. So. Iris Examiner here, and this is Silicon Republic mentioning it as well. And they're saying there's a random austerity measure generator, obviously. Somebody had to come up with it, of course. And this is Netherlands, I think.
Yes.
And some forums and all this stuff. And I didn't want to make any money out of it, but if I could place some Google ads there, and I calculated I could make around 3,159 euros or something, or even more depending on the nature of the ads. So I can say it was one of the times I felt I made something really successful, because for me it was like 2 times of work, really enjoyable, no pressure, no problems, nothing, just do it, go viral, that's it. It's like, what else you want, right? So what can I learn from that? Because those moments apparently don't come in everyday life, right? Those moments come, of course, after hard work. I didn't wake up when I was a baby to make this thing. I went through a lot of journeys in my life to understand how I can make things. I learned to program. I learned from the YouTube videos. I learned psychology. I learned this and that in order to make something. But what I came to the conclusion is if I want to make a portion or find the ingredients of success, I will have to say it has to come from a place of joy. You have to enjoy what you're doing in order to be successful, because people around you want to be joyful, want to be helpful, want to be helped, want to have a better life. So it makes perfect sense. If the creator is enjoying what he's doing, people will follow. People will like this thing. And I was totally enjoying it. I was laughing myself as I was writing those messages. So it was really, really fun. So I would say my pure intention for that website was to make myself laugh, because I saw the whole thing. I saw Greece. I saw the austerity measures. I've been there. I was poor. I've been the whole thing. And I was like, yeah, I just want to make people understand that, just make people have a good time. And expand the whole problems and make them see that always in life is good to enjoy. And I understand after the YouTube videos and all the stuff that virality maybe starts with joy. And what better example from this guy, for example, who's sitting every day in his office playing games, laughing his ass off, and then he has 40 million subscribers following him because he doesn't think about this thing anymore. It's a natural, joyful thing, and we all want to join because we all want to be joyful. And this is why he has so many subscribers, and thus he's making all this money. Something I understand from the whole experience of making videos when I was making videos for my own fun and pleasure, they did work. They did generate a million of views, and I got a lot of fans, and I even got to sign autographs in my life. So it was a pretty nice experience. But how we can make this happen more often? How we can implement that in our lives? So what I would say that most people do, that's the problem. What most people do is they focus on the designing things. They focus first on the designing things, and then they focus a lot on succeeding. And I think that's a false thing. That's a false beginning, maybe, because if you're designing a lot of things and you say, I want to design to do that, and I want to do that in order to be very successful, and I want to do that, and very, very, very successful, it usually doesn't work. What usually works is this one. You want to do something because you are in the place to understand why you want to do it and for who you want to do it, and you run into that zone. So then the intention overcomes the design. The design becomes natural, fluid, progressive. And it was pretty amazing. The last speech here was called Fast Food Design. And I was really amazed to see in that speech about how many websites have the clear intention, hey, let's make a website that's called that seems nice, right? So that intention is very weak. It's not like I'm focusing on serving somebody in order to give him a better experience in his life. It's more like, yeah, let's make a nice looking website. This is why the 80% of the websites around us look similar, repetitive, and the same thing again and again. We get nothing out of it because there is no clear intention behind it. But what happens when we're intending something, design becomes so flawless. Of course, we're not born with that, right? We're not born with intention out of zero. We have to go through the whole journey of designing and trying hard, and then comes a moment when all the pieces come together and we understand why we're doing something and how we can do something, and then everything falls into place, and the whole design is minimized and crushed under the power of our intention. This is where we're gonna fail, of course, in the beginning, and that failure will lead us to success. And you can see even that the Google Android, the whole SDK has the word intent in one of their main activities. They say, class overview, an instant abstract description of an operation to be performed. It can be used for a startup activity, to launch activity, broadcast, and then so forth and so on. So we see that intention is a very powerful word and concept, but of course doesn't come free. We have to go through the whole journey to understand why we're doing it and why we're doing it. And after that is, of course, we have to create. We have to let ourselves create freely through our intention. But of course, we have to control our creation. It always has to be a balance between how much we create and how much we control creation. Because infinite creation is chaos. We don't want chaos as well. We need to balance those two values, like a yin-yang, like Greek and German, if you will, combination. So after that, the failure will come. So before the Random-Austerity-Generator, I did the Greek cafeteria name generator, which had only 758 Greek cafeteria names generated so far, which is pretty much nothing compared to the other thing. But what I've learned from that is how I can make the first structure. All those projects were pretty fun to begin with and made out for fun, and this one also one of them. But not many people joined into that because they didn't understand the concept. The concept was like there are so many cafeteria names in Greece that are so random, like the South Park also made a new episode about funny names that are cool, like Sodo Sopa. I don't know if you saw that, but that was the concept, like making very funny Greek cafeteria name generator. But of course, people really got the austerity measures, so this is where things exploded and success happened. But here's the important thing: we don't have to focus so much on success. Success should be very, very, very short, because if we celebrate success too much, we go into the trap of stop getting the experience anymore, and it's like, yeah, you success, you do something cool, what's next? So I think that's the mentality we should have in life. And success, as I said before, doing the random Greek name cafeteria generator I think is a mix of ideas with previous failures, because if you see all those many companies and all these many people in their lives, they did fail a lot, and they understand that failure is what made them better. And this is a very valuable experience to get. But if you don't like failure, you cannot progress. And the mix of new ideas on top of failures, it's what makes you grow better. And of course, that's the power of evolution. We cannot escape that. So anything we do, from waking up in the morning, doing our everyday lives, down to a product we design, falls into the same rules. We cannot escape those rules. We can accept them. And this is the rules of evolution. We cannot really change that. So accepting them is the first step. And many times when I do any time of design, after this experience with going viral and everything, I tend to design things like a restaurant. Because the restaurant is pretty much the most direct way you can have between service, between the boss, the company, the people who work in the company, and the clients. And the intention of the restaurant is so instant because you eat their intention. You eat their food they're making. So the restaurant can be very nice, can be very shiny, can be amazing, can be like fast food design, right? Can be the amazing template for a restaurant. You go in, you don't like the food, you don't like the service, you don't find it nice. So this is where you lose a client. This is how you lose a web user, because it's all about the experience you're giving. Because in the end, this is something we have to understand as developers and as programmers and everything. It's not about the CSS classes. It's not about the JavaScript code. It's not about all the stuff. It's about human interaction. It's about user experience. It's about giving something to somebody else and making their life better. And this is what I have to do. And the people who mastered that, of course, became successful because their value goes up, because other people made them successful. I think there are many examples. One of them is like Gordon Ramsay. So I would like to say that I do really believe we have so much power as developers. It's really insane the amount of power we have in our lives. If you think about it, from a very small laptop, you have access to a domain name, you have access to a web server, you can design your whole thing with a little bit of experience in psychology or whatever, or just being helpful to other people. You can drive people exactly as you want. You have these amazing tools. You have those amazing buttons called call to action, and you can flow. You can take people and drive them. But that's what's behind that is your intention for those people. It's not the design itself. It's like, I want to take that user, and when he sees that website, I want to take him through a journey and then make him do that because I want to do that, because I like to do that, because that's my joyful thing in life. And that's what we need to understand, that we have infinite real power, and that's the amazing leverage we have. So when Ireland said, the Irish press said, what a cool website, but unfortunately, seems like, the website is not mentioning Ireland. So it means like Ireland should be very good in terms of austerity measures. So there I was. I went back to my flat. This is what they write. Only troubled European nations make an appearance, like Portugal, Spain, and Italy, though the random generator doesn't seem to have much to say on Ireland. And I said to him, okay, Ireland, here you go. I go back to my flat, I go to the code, and then I find the countries array. And I was like, okay, yeah, I can change that. So here I am putting Ireland inside. And this is where I understand the power of leverage. When you make something really start working, small changes can affect such big things. And that's really an amazing thing in our days. We really have amazing machines, like they run from magic. You press things and things happen. So one other thing I noticed with the whole thing is that the Silicon Valley press said billions of computations go into each measure, it seems. Truth is, no amazing computation was happening there. It was like a timing thing, loading screen that generated a lot of random loading messages, pretty much as The Sims does. But you can see how design can affect psychology, because imagine you go to a restaurant and the moment you step in, you serve your food you want. That timing just doesn't feel right. You have to wait for your food. You have to wait for your random austerity message. You have to wait a bit, because waiting maybe adds a bit of value. Too fast means too cheap. Too slow means, who knows? I don't know. I haven't tried that yet, but. So here I am. That was the loading bar, and it seems that had an effect also, because you press the button, but then you have to wait like 5-6 seconds while the small messages appeared in your screen. And I did a bit of research on that, and it seems like people actually worked on that, and they called it the idiot design. I'm very sorry to say that, but this is how they called it. And they say that sometimes when you're scrolling through your Facebook and the Facebook seems like loading and something, nothing happens. It's just to satisfy you that the app is actually trying to load data for you because you requested that, because they're trying to serve you. So let's try to rebase everything. We've been, as humanity, through amazing journeys. We had huge technological advantages. We have so many things going on, codes, classes, technologies and everything. But in the end, it's about helping other people. That's pretty much it. This is how you get value in life. There's no other way. This is the only way. And this is how restaurants work, that they're successful. This is how companies can work and be successful. This is everybody works, because this is why we wake up every day, because we want to make our life better, and we want to make other people's life better. And technology can take that thought, that intention, and make it globally available. And that's pretty much my speech. Thank you very much.
Thank you, George. Awesome. I like it. So maybe we want to do like 5 minutes Q&A if you have any questions.
Yeah, sure.
I think that's quite helpful. And everybody go grab a beer, and then maybe after those 5 or 10 minutes, sometimes it just goes like how it goes. But then we'll get into the second talk with a fresh beer. So any questions to George?
So I think your point on the power of developers was really great. Your other cafeteria website had some 100 views, and you said that was nothing, but actually there are only 20 people in this room, and 700 views is 35 times bigger than, So I think that it, sometimes you see like my page views only in the hundreds or thousands count, and actually it's like 1,000 people, were affected by that. But I had a question about intention, which is you say intention is something that's the core starting point. What are some great companies in terms of intention, and how do you see that play out in Hong Kong and
Sure. I mean, when you see Steve Jobs giving his presentation speech and everything, Steve Jobs is a very controversial personality. But personally, when you just go see his presentation about the iPhone, you really feel that the whole sliding thing was for him, because he really was tired of the technology not being able enough to do this thing for him, right? So when he presenting this thing, it's like he really enjoying it. And this is his intention to the world, was like giving something that's really working, because he had the power to do that. And if you see his speeches, it's all about how you can shape the world. The world is not always how you are getting from the world. You can change the world. And that's your personal intention. And that's the creation, where your creation comes into place. Because we can be small gods while creating things from our intention to make our life better, and of course make everybody else's life better. This is why the iPhone is everywhere today, because of that intention. Of course, so many companies out there, everybody has different intentions. It's quite amazing.
Hi. How do you strike a balance between your intention and fulfilling the need of the world? Because if your intention is great, but if it's something that the world doesn't need at all, then the website won't be successful. So how do you balance the two?
Well, there are many stories about that. There are stories of people trying to say to people, hey, I have a cool idea, I think it will be very nice if you do that. But the people didn't get it because of wrong marketing or whatever. But it seems that ideas like that maybe in the future progress. I get your point about having an intention that other people don't see it happening. I'm sure you're having some personal intentions asking this question, but I'm not sure. You have to try to find out. The answers are only given from inside personal experience.
Yeah. I find it very difficult to be successful in expressing your intention, but also to draw the world.
Well, that's the thing. If you don't try, you don't know. Have you tried?
Exactly. Yeah.
And you failed?
And fail, and have to try again and fail.
Yes, but you're very tired to try again?
No. I find it very, you have to change your attitude so that, as you said.
You have to change yourself before changing your world. That's
exactly. I think be prepared to face the failure is a key point as you present it. So
You have to accept the thing that maybe something you tried to do was not sucked, right? That's also a possibility.
Yeah.
I experienced that also, so it can happen also. So just move forward and just let go. That's one thing also in life.
Thanks.
And just to hook in on that, I think that intent does not mean solution. Right? You would like to think that a solution is the product of intention. If you have the intention of doing something and you really believe in that, then if you're hell-bent on creating something, then actually you're already in what you said, like the design phase, where I just want to build this thing, and then the intention is wrong. You're supposed to help someone. However you do that, if it's a phone, or it's an airplane, or it's a paper thing that you give someone, that is the product. It doesn't matter what it is. See, so it's just, as long as the intention is validated, that's all.
Yeah, it's that moment where things work, when you've done so many mistakes and your intention is clear enough from all the extra baggage of the wrong things you could do. This is where things kind of fall into place somehow.
Too. Thanks for sticking around. It's kind of awkward, like to speak at your own event today, kind of. But chairs made me do it, so it's okay. So basically, this one, your work performance as a happy poo face, is a subset of the talk from last week's CodeConf, and I tried to boil it a bit down so it's going to fit in some sort of a lightning talk. I hope it's gonna not be too long. But generally, like, the whole performance topic is like quite huge, and it's very hard to not only scratch the surface in, like, I don't know how long it's gonna be, maybe like 10-15 minutes or so. But anyway, so let's dig right in. So your web performance sucks or is a happy poo face. So why am I saying that? There's many reasons for that, but just to start somewhere. One of the biggest issues I see every other day are images. I mean, everybody who's like kind of in development is mostly aware of the issue that images are large and they can like screw up your whole performance game. But then every day I come across sites where, wow, images, awesome, you just screwed up your whole performance. And it's kind of funny that nobody kind of goes after it, because this is like really the fastest fix you can possibly do. So this one I came across the other day is Manulife Move. Maybe you've seen the advertising. They're all over central MTR stations, and it's like a huge project that has happened recently. So I had a look at that site, and what I found was like 6 point something megabytes, and I was like, whoa, it's not even anything on there. So basically, the part you see, it's kind of like repeats for all the steps, like 4 or 5 steps, but that's it, like copy, image, copy, image, copy, image. And I was like, wow, this is weird. Anyways, more to that in a bit. Then sometimes I come across these like awesome agency sites where these are the guys building websites, and I'm like, why do you do this? Why do you do this? 6 megabyte, 250 requests, my absolute top scorer in terms of requests. And then I tried to check it out the other day again because I wanted to see like if it's still there. I came across this, which I thought was like, oh, can you see that? Bandwidth limit exceeded, which I thought was like hilarious in regards to how much page weight they have. So another very good example, which I also see quite a lot, are those like so-called like marketing campaign sites, which is also like a friend of mine's agency did that. I'm not going to name anyone, but I came across that one and I was like, well, kind of nice-ish, but 10 megabyte. Oh, whoa, okay, now we're talking. So anyways, these things is like, you just don't want to do it. So performance is a thing, we've heard about that, and everybody knows that. There's like certain expectations users have where, okay, what is fast and what is not fast. So 2 to 3 seconds, in my opinion, is pretty damn fast. So if you get there, achievement unlocked. So what we're trying to do is like deliver something that's even faster, meaning like getting something on the screen because faster is better. So why is faster better? There's been like a lot of research and studies and reports out there where like people say, okay, this has helped this much. I'm not going to go much into this, but out in the real world, there's like a lot of case studies from huge companies that say like, okay, we did like performance improvement and it gave us like this and that. This is one of the examples. Another example is Amazon. And this basically, bottom line, translates into real money. So this is why we're going after performance. So one of the next points or like things to think about is like that performance is kind of like part of the design. And I think a lot of people don't really realize that, and it's maybe a bit of a new concept to many people, because a lot of people still work with like Photoshop and then give the stuff to the designer and okay, start coding, but there's like no collaboration and no like kind of thinking about how much that might in the end impact your performance. So vice versa, also design is performance, and the most important thing about that is basically that your design directs your performance, or the design like basically is in charge of like, okay, how far can you actually take the performance thing, how fast are you able to make things. And this is why like nowadays it's very important for people to collaborate. And this is actually quite a nice quote from Ian Feather. He works on the Lonely Planet team, and he's also like a bit of a performance geek. And he says like you can only be as fast as the design allows, and that basically is, there's a period there. It's like you can't argue about that. So what I just mentioned, people just need to better collaborate, need to talk earlier, especially like designers and developers, and it's not just like you have the design and then that's handover time. It should be much more like of a collaboration where people really take performance into consideration from early on, design accordingly, and kind of like even try to get prototypes out early, just like to get a feel for what's doable, what's not doable. Alright, so let's speak about like building for performance a little bit, and before we get into that or what we can do to make things faster, I want to probably just run through like a little bit of like, okay, rendering pages. There's a lot of like technical stuff to this. I'm just going to run through it quickly because it can get quite deep and complicated, but basically the browser has a lot of work to do before you see anything on screen. A few things here are mentioned. So basically first the browser has to wait for the DOM, like document object model, and CSS object model to actually build the render tree. Then it like puts out the render tree, then layout computes where everything goes. Then there is like paint, which basically puts like the pixels in the right spot, and then there's even composite, which is not on there, which kind of like puts all those elements in the right spot if you're working with layers. So just that much to that. Not going to go deeper into this. Then there's like so-called render blocking stuff. So CSS is render blocking, so meaning the browser gets a request, HTML file, and you hit like a CSS file, and before the browser actually continues to render the bit, like last bit of the, or the next bit of the HTML, it has to load the CSS file, because otherwise you'll get the flicker and like flash of unstyled content, which you want to avoid, or which basically the browser avoids by first loading CSS before it continues to load the rest of the page. The same goes for JavaScript basically. The browser has to wait for JavaScript to load, execute, and then it goes on because JavaScript might do something with your DOM or the CSS DOM, and that's like quite, or can be quite, time consuming already. Generally, loading assets, for every asset you're loading you need like one extra request. Requests take a lot of time, and it's roughly about like 200 milliseconds per request. So if you have a lot of those, it adds up and it makes your stuff load fast. To avoid that, there's something called optimizing the critical rendering path. So critical rendering path is basically all the stuff that you need to render, or like process, or whatever you want to call it, before you can get something on screen. And there's like usually consists of like a critical resource, like a critical path length, and the actual critical bytes, which is like the file size that needs to be loaded. And you can optimize this stuff. Basically it's just about dependency graph between HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Getting a balance into like, okay, what do I really need? how can I optimize this to get on the screen fast. So this is what this lovely poo icon again says, getting your happy poo face on the screen fast. And actually to do that, we need to minimize all of these things. So minimizing the critical resources, which is like the number of items we have, critical bytes, file sizes, and the path lengths, which is like the duration to load all these things. First you have to find out, okay, what do we actually have to optimize, what's actually happening, then you minimize them, you optimize a certain order, and you can like do a lot of trickery here. Unfortunately, there's not enough time to go into that in detail, but if you have any questions, anytime, I'm happy to discuss or enlighten further. There is bad examples, and this is one of them. Some random site, I mean, you don't need long to find any of these, so this is like 31 JavaScript files, boom, yeah, 31 requests, times 200 milliseconds, you do the math. It's too long, so you can just like combine them, and I bet with like 90% proximity, probably that half of the stuff you don't even need. But you could combine those and make 31 requests one, and much, much faster. The same goes for the CSS files here, and basically this goes to what I said earlier. If you have like CSS or JavaScript, it's render blocking. If all this stuff is in the head of your document, you're going to wait, and it's going to be a white page, and until some point you will start to see something. So optimizing the critical rendering path is basically looking at all these things and thinking about like, okay, how can I minimize those? How can I shorten the time I need to actually load all of these resources? Do I even need those for like above the fold rendering or for your first page load, or even that page at all? And then you just try to kind of like find a good measurement on like what's best for your performance in that regard. So a very good example that I actually really like is Smashing Magazine, because they're actually quite impressive in terms of performance. They load quite a bit of stuff. It's like this one, 650 kilobytes, 60 requests, and DOM content loaded is like 2.8 seconds. So that's usually already really, really good. But DOM content loaded usually I would say is kind of like about the time where first paint time happens, so meaning where the first pixel is drawn on the screen. And in this case it's actually even better, because if you look at the first paint time, it's 1.1 seconds, and it's just super, super fast. So at least, and that's again like kind of like going into with what you said about the loading time, it's all about perception. So even if your page loads like for 5 minutes, but it only takes a second to like show you like the first part, it kind of like feels very, very fast, because the other stuff maybe you don't see, you don't need, and you can just like have that loading in the background.
So I have a question, where did you get that table from?
That is a JavaScript, which is called timing.js, and that shows you all the stuff. It's basically outputs all the navigation timing API values into like a table in the console. So you can also do in the console, I think, well, you can just like call those APIs directly, and then you get like certain values from, I think it's even before that. I think maybe connect time or request time or something, and then you have to subtract them, and then you get those values. It's quite a cool tool, GitHub timing.js, and you can just like have a bookmarklet and then just output that. Yeah, so basically this is a very good example for like appearing super, super fast, but it's actually, I mean, it's still fast, but this even works for other things. So if you optimize the critical resources, you can get to first paint really, really fast, whereas like everything else, you can do lazy load, or you can even extract your critical CSS and just load that part above the fold, which is actually seen. And if your page is like that long, and this much is visible in your browser window, then you just like extract the CSS that's needed for this part, and everything else can load later. And we would inline them or kind of do all kinds of things with these. Of course, compression, optimization, G-zipping and stuff is like kind of like a prerequisite. I don't know how advanced you people are, but generally this is like what you would do anyways. This is like kind of like, okay, we're taking it to the next step. In terms of tools, there is quite a few things that can help you, like profile, analyze, and so on, all these things. One of the most famous ones, I think, is like web page test. So you put in your URL, select the server, and then it gives you like all kinds of different things. You can now also get like video strips, which is basically, it shows you like a film strip of the rendering process, and with like timings. So, and this is very helpful, like to see, okay, when did actually first paint time happen? Because you might have like whatever, white, and then it starts like showing the logo, and then it shows you like kind of the order of items rendered on the page. So this is quite helpful. Or otherwise, it's also the waterfall that we've seen also in DevTools. These are a few more. PageSpeed by Google, or even YSlow, all these things, like basically you can all combine them and like get your insights from every single one of them, and it will help you a little bit further down the road. DevTools is also quite nice now because you can simulate different network speeds, and I think this is like where your performance optimization starts to really shine, because most people have like this super fast T1 whatever line in their office, and everything is fast. And once you like select Edge or 3G, nothing is fast anymore. It's a sad, sad story. And basically that's like traveling in the deepest Indonesia or India or something like that, and it's like where frustration really pops up. So testing your stuff on Edge can be quite enlightening and surprising. Some more tools which kind of like cover everything I talked about and much, much more. You can automate a lot of these things, run plugins, gulp plugins, and so on. Perf tooling is a good resource. There's also a lot of articles, a lot of talks on there, and of course the tools, plugins, and links to all these things. Another one, basically the same thing. I don't know, I think the perf tooling was the first one, but I'm not quite sure. Same site, same goal, articles, tools, people who speak about performance, talks, slides, all of this stuff, well worth checking out. And then a friend of mine made this tool recently, like NPM's tool, which is quite helpful, where you can actually, it takes you through all the performance optimization steps, and you can actually learn about it, and it tells you, okay, what to do here, what to do there, and this might also be worth like checking out. So basically, with achieving fast page load time, will get people to like quicker, you achieve their goals or like get to your sites in the first place. And generally I find, I mean, I can see it like from myself, even if I'm traveling, for example, Indonesia is a good one. It just makes you happier if you like don't have to wait for stuff. So I think this is like super important. Plus, like nobody ever complained about pages loading fast. Not even in Hong Kong, where we're quite spoiled with like mobile network speeds. But generally, happier users mean a lot of things. It can be like, I don't know, more signups, more downloads, more revenue in the end. It all boils down to happier users, better experience. And that's why I think it's very important to consider performance as like a first-class citizen, and not only like after everything in the project is finished and then you have like this kind of moment, oh my god, what have we done? It's not fast enough. So keep that in mind, consider it from early on, as early as you can, and let's make everything a little bit less proof-facey. So thank you very much.
Quick question, sorry.
Sure.
So
we have time.
what is better, a big image containing all images, like you know,
Like sprites?
yeah, huge images, like background images, everything in once, or many different requests? What do you think is better?
You want my favorite answer to that? It depends.
As always.
A lot of these things really depend on what you're doing, and I've tried a lot of stuff, even with like loading JavaScript async, where people say, okay, you don't have to put it in the footer anymore, because if you're doing async, you can put it in your head of the document, and it doesn't make a difference. And I've tried it, and it does make a difference. And even like with images, if you want retina, I find personally a lot of times you don't have to go for two times the size. Like 1.5 is usually way enough. Or you even go bigger image, harder compression, then it gets like kind of sized down. You also won't see a difference. So there's like many approaches to many things. If you say all images in one can be good, it depends on what images we're talking about.
Background images mostly.
Big ones.
Very big ones.
Big ones.
Like 1044 and just. What about JS
Don't
files?
use that.
Yeah.
But you probably have only one background image per page, I guess.
I think that's not what you just said. Not.
What about JS files? You think it's a good idea to compress everything into one single JS?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
CSS also, I guess?
Definitely, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, CSS, as I said, like it's generally there's nothing wrong with like putting it all in one file. CSS, you can even extract the critical part and inline it into your head. Then that's like also, I wouldn't even say it's like always good, but it's a lot of like trial and error and like whatever works for your project. Like sometimes this like great idea might turn out it actually doesn't do much. And this is like what the experience I had with the JavaScript, like head, footer, end of page, async, not async. There's a lot of trial and error where you just have to see like, okay, does this make sense for my project? Does it actually give me any gains, or is it minor? Sometimes, let's say if you extract the critical stuff and it only gives you like minor advantage, I wouldn't bother because it's just a pain to maintain in the end, future proof-wise. So it's like a lot of trying things out and seeing like what gives you the most. But going back to the beginning, images. It's like this is I think the biggest game with the least effort you can put in, possibly.
Yeah.
And one more thing to the background images, I would try a lot with like compression, or like sometimes it even helps if you put like 0.1 blur on JPEGs in Photoshop, and then export them.
Really?
Yeah.
Usually
It makes a lot of difference.
because pixelating some clusters, making the file images smaller or something? Yeah.
It's basically just like when you like in Save for Web, you put 0.1 blur or 0.2. You don't see it, but it makes quite a difference sometimes. Or bigger images, scale down, more compression. I don't think there's a one rule fits all thing.
Put them through an image optim anyway.
Yeah, I mean that's also
helps a lot.
one of the prerequisites. That's kind of, but image optim is like a great image optimization tool. You just throw the image in and it comes out. Actually, I had a slide to that. I took it out. Those Manulife images from the beginning I showed. Actually, I threw out that part, but each of those images was 500 something by 290 or so pixels, and they were 2 megabytes each. And I was like, whoa! And I took it, I downloaded it, and I threw it in Image Optim, and they came out by default like 73K. So takes about 5 minutes, and saves you, in that case, probably like 5 megabytes or so.
Or it saves you, so you don't have to concat your CSS or JavaScript just when you do only one image.
Yeah.
You should do it all.
So it really depends also how far you want to take it. I mean, all these things you can do. You can go absolutely crazy about it and could probably speak about it for 2 hours, but it's all about like kind of leveraging how much time and effort you want to put in for what you get out. If you're Google, then that makes sense because 1K makes a big difference. If you're working on your personal side, you can geek out on it, but even at some point I stop because it's like, can't be bothered. So it's like always leveraging the amount of effort you put in and the gains you have in the end. Any more questions? Bart?
Are you still using jQuery for mobile sites? Because what I found is that just downloading jQuery itself already on a mobile phone takes usually easily 300 milliseconds or even sometimes more, so close to a second sometimes. And then processing just the jQuery, like including all the JavaScript parsing, that takes also more. So it takes almost 1.5 seconds just for jQuery to be loaded. Do you still use it?
Sometimes. I'm still overdue with my trial project without rewriting the whole jQuery and replacing it with like the vanilla JS. I still haven't compiled everything, but it saves like half the file size on the JS. It's faster, I know that already, but I don't have the final output. But then on the other side, I think it's also like it depends what's your target browser, because you don't want to deal with like old stuff. So sometimes it can be quite well worth like just to use it because like you don't want to deal with it. So as always, it's kind of like really up to your project, up to your needs, like where you want to take it. But if you can, if you don't need it, I mean, a lot of times also you don't have to look very far. It's kind of like people have whatever nav highlighting, jQuery. Yeah, you can do that with like 2 lines of JavaScript, and saves you 70K or so plus all the other overhead.
Do you have any recommendations for, let's say, rendering background video, which is of course like massive.
Video, I run out that door.
Yeah. You'll be surprised how many clients will love the idea of having that at the price of a few seconds of performance. So, you know, at the end of the day, you'll still have to be like, all right, that's what you want, you still have to optimize that.
Yeah.
So, is there a, because we're still finding a way to optimize that as much as we can, is there any way to just say, okay, you have to try it this way, this is the best way of rendering that, and that's the best,
I'm really not a video guy. I hardly use it. I find it painful. I get the idea that people like it. I would try to talk them out of it. But if you have to use it, make sure, like, because I've seen, I think that one example I showed with the girl on it, I think they're using video on that site as well. And a lot of people just like load all the videos right away on page load, autoplay. So if you don't need 3 videos or 5, like autoplay right away, load them, like lazy load them or something.
Yeah.
Or, yeah.
And is a
Load
format
one,
model,
maybe.
is there a magical format for web that is supported very well? Yeah, so.
As I said, no, I'm not a video expert at all.
Maybe I can comment on that. I just saw this morning there was this new format that they're working on, BGP, I think, or something, which is actually GIF based, but it currently still loads with a JavaScript library, which they try to propose to become like a new thing because it's half the size of MP4. So it's quite a lot.
Yeah, that's already a lot smaller.
But the downside now is that that library takes about 8 seconds to load before the video starts playing.
I mean, there's like WebP and Web whatever and all the different ones. I think they're equally. I don't want to comment on it.
Well, it's a compromise. You mentioned like design and performance is a compromise. You got to meet somewhere. If you really want to, I don't know, you have to show how something needs to look like. Yeah, right.
So I mean, it's really like about what you're trying to achieve and what you're trying to sacrifice for whatever you're trying to achieve. And this always, I find, has to be like somewhat of a good balance, which most people just don't think about the balance because they go like, oh, I want 3 videos on there, but they're not aware of like what price they're paying for that, for example.